This miniature cleaned up quickly and easily, and after assembling and priming it with Vallejo's German Red Brown, I began spraying a blue tone from above to start the foundations of what will be a bluish armor. I then spray a lighter blue from directly above to add a quick highlight to the higher points. I then try my hand at more precise airbrush work and aim to base coat the purple clothing before also giving it a highlight from above, or as best as I can, while avoiding as much overspray onto the blue as reasonably possible. I then take the airbrush a step further and hit the little amount of visible flesh with white, with the idea of him having a subterranean ashen pale skin. I finish up the airbrush work with an anti-zenithal spray of orange ink to add what will be a light source of lava from the base. This year has been spent on trying to find what I like for speed painting through various projects, so I continue that trend and pull out the oil paints. I'm getting better bit by bit with them, and this go around I start with a black wash and apply this all over. Now, normally I would use makeup sponges to remove the excess oil, but I was running low on Q-tips and bought a new box. This one from a different company, and I discovered that all cotton swabs are not created equally. Case in point, this is an old one that falls apart with light touches with my finger. And this is one of the swabs from the other brand, which is packed more stoutly. So, with the more stout swabs in hand, I tried them out for blending and removed the excess oil wash. It still left some fibers around the model, but nowhere near as bad as the ones that I previously used. Once the black oil wash has set, I then mix more washes that are a little denser with pigments from the main tones that I want to use. A purple for the clothing, blue for the armor, a pale blue for the flesh, and a yellowish brown for the gold trim. I apply these over where I want these tones to be and let the washes dry, before coming back and blending and removing the excess, much like I did with the initial black wash, and then I let the model rest for a couple of days to allow the oil to set up fully. When I come back, my plan will be to resume with acrylic highlights with a brush for the rest of the project, but first, a word from today's sponsor. I'm just kidding. I barely got 1,000 subscribers at the time of this video. I ain't got no damn sponsors. But you can help that by clicking all of them good for me buttons, and it'll only cost you a few seconds of your time and less than 1 calories worth of effort. With that shameless plug out of the way, I start to add broken edge highlights, stipples, and scratches all over the gold areas, before doing the same with a lighter tone over the same spots. This second highlight, I just make sure to not fully obscure the previous highlight by covering less area. I then repeat the same for the blue. The only difference is some of the highlight shapes may differ due to the different parts of the armor being, well, different shapes, and the obvious change in hues, but overall it's the same process that I used for the gold. I paint the beard and flesh off camera, but the highlights for those followed the same process. 2 highlights of increasingly brighter tones from the base, nothing fancy here. For the sake of keeping this video short, I also excluded the steps used for the lava base, but I'll make a short video on it later, and I'll link that in the description for this video in the near future. For the gems, I base coated these with red before adding a highlight of the same red mixed with orange. Then I add a shade of the base color mixed with black, followed by an edge highlight of orange. And finally, a few dots of yellow in the corners. I was nearing the end of what I had planned for this model, but I felt like the gold and blues felt very unfinished, so I added a thinner broken edge highlight and sparse dotting and scratches with an off-white. This unplanned step added an extra hour of work, but it was definitely worth it in the end. Transitioning into the final major step, I mix some dark red with the glaze medium and painstakingly add this to the lower parts of the miniature. I make sure to rotate the miniature regularly to get a good look at it from below so I can visualize where the lava reflection should be hitting, and apply this several times as needed to build them up. For the spear tip, I added some scratches of red and orange and yellow. These tones were the same that I used for the gems, but then I toned them down a good amount with the same dark red that I used as a glaze previously. I can then black out the base, and I get to call it a night. This is where I stopped. I'm happy with the rough, scratchy armor considering the amount of time and effort that was put into it, and with the right gauntlet looking especially decent. The gems came out far better than I hoped, as up until now I've only painted round gems, and these I also had to paint more upside down as I wanted the major light source to be from the lava below. The glowing jar and bulb thing on the pole arm came out better than I expected as well. The idea I had in my head was that it was a subterranean Duger dwarf-like horde living far below the surface, down by where flowing magma was easily accessible. I had painted the bottle with the intention of it being enchanted to hold pure magma, and to preserve it from cooling, the same with the bulbous area below the polearm's blade. I imagined this evil bastard felling a foe, and as they lay bleeding out, he might just be in a malicious enough mood to smash the bottle over their chest, so that he might relish their agonizing screams, their cries for an end that isn't coming anytime soon. Jesus Christ, what the hell's wrong with me? The lava base, which again will be covered in a separate video, likely a YouTube short, came out better than I hoped for, considering that it was my first lava base and the first time that I used Green Stuff World's splash gel. I think the next one that I do will be on a much larger base, so I can have more surface area for the liquid lava versus it being mostly the blackened crust. For lessons learned, whereas the scratchiness looks fine on the armor, it definitely doesn't translate as well to the spear tip, and a good amount of glazing is still needed. Hell, the armor itself needs it in some places, such as the top of his helmet. For the gold bits, I think they would look a little better with a dark reddish brown glazed in as well, to make the shadows a smidgen more saturated. My initial fears of the face being too close in tone to the blue armor was mostly relieved, as you can clearly distinguish between the two. The things I dislike the most about this project are the spear tip, shield face, and the beard. The problems with these are that they should be some of the major focal points, or at least part of them, such as the case with the beard. The shield face just doesn't look that great. I probably need to add some more stronger OSL effects to the bottom front face of it, and the spear blade just flat out looks rough and unfinished. And that'll bring this video to its end. I hope you learned something or inspired to start or expand your own collection of malicious miscreants meting out malign misery, specifically by smashing enchanted bottles containing magma over the torsos of their enemies, just for a goof. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and if you like the content of this video and would like to see more, you can easily support the channel by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. I'm Jim with Wargaming Miniatures. I'm truly grateful for your time, and I bid you a fond farewell. Until the next video.